antlers, assumption, and artillery. Well, it's certainly crisp, Bjorn notes as he feels the wind move over him. He wonders if he should have brought out a scarf or a hat. You're complaining about the cold? Holly teases him and he shrugs. Just commenting. Bjorn notes as he looks out into the distance. They're still on the concrete that surrounds the arcology and therefore well and truly safe from the tundra worms. Bjorn is wrapped up in his uniform jacket and has his hands in his pockets to ward off the cold as best as he can. Holly, on the other hand, is dressed casually with a t-shirt and loose, comfortable pants. Bjorn is mentally congratulating himself for calling it. Her fur is insulating her perfectly for this kind of weather. So this is home now. This barren cold, depressing. There is literally a warm city bouncing with life right behind us both. So desolate, so unwelcoming and uncivilized. You're just messing with me at this point, aren't you? Well, there's no fun in it if you figure it out. Holly huffs in frustration and he chuckles. Well, come on then, let's have ourselves a nice look around, Bjorn says with a tilt of his head, and she sighs and follows. Hey, you're the one that wanted outside. Well, yay, but never mind, let's go, Holly says, and he chuckles. Right. Well, the thing we need to look out for is when the ground shifts under you. Unlike Arrakis, the worms here are slow and patient. They come up slowly from below, then move quick. If you feel the tundra and snow move under you, then step to the side until you're on something solid again. Okay, what is Arrakis? I've never heard of such a thing or such a place. A world in a science fiction novel. A very important one in that setting where it's a giant desert that has huge monster worms living on it. The story's quite popular but very hard to fully get into. There's just so much going on in it that people who have tried and failed to try and copy what made it great. Oh, and what made it great? Holly asks, and he shrugs. Hell, I don't know. The book is complicated as all hell and just not my genre, Bjorn remarks. And what is your genre? Holly asks. True crime, actually. It's fascinating stuff, Bjorn remarks as he looks out over the horizon. A few kilometers away is another arcology, one with a distinctly different construction style. Unlike Vrenraku's pyramid style that's angled to catch a lot of light and angle it into the arcology for a natural sensation. At least that's what Bjorn is assuming. They haven't gone deep into the arcology yet, as Holly was working herself into a worry about not being out on the spires of Centris. The walk is along the edge of the concrete surrounding the arcology. A nice little stroll along the multiple kilometers length building with the looming structures of the other arcologies in the distance. The sheer dryness of the world means there's not too much snow blowing against them. Some trees drink from underground streams, and moss catch some of the few flakes of snow that dance in the distance. Birds seek shelter in the needle and sap-covered trees, and herds of bounding creatures make haste from around their roots to avoid the tundra worms. Still, it's not a bad place. This concrete platform will make a great track to run the recruits along. A few laps to get everyone's stamina built up will be great. You do realize that most races aren't stamina monsters, right? Holly asks, and he shrugs. Just one hike then. Something to get their blood flowing as we get them into shape. Bjorn considers. It might be too much for the reptilian races. Nagasha, Kobes, and even most Apuk would slowly shut down and stop in this cold at least. Most would, if not for Axiom, I suppose. But you want to keep Axiom used to a minimum in the training, don't you? We do, but concessions have to be made. Just as how my race are stamina monsters, we're also the only ones anyone can reasonably expect to operate without Axiom. Keeping warm and keeping your energy up are fine, so long as you're pumping your muscles to get stronger. I personally see no cause to complain. Bjorn says, then chuckles. Of course, I've probably already said enough things wrong that the moment we get a drill instructor ready, they'll be screaming in my face for the sheer amount of shit I just said. Holly snickers at the mental image he just brought up. He had shared a video of the Funniest Drill Instructors compilation Part 1 with her, and the sheer amount of screaming and pointless commands had her giggling without end. "Look up! Look down! Look left! Look right!" Holly recites from one of her favorite bits. "Look inside," Bjorn finishes, and she breaks out in giggles at the memory. The soldier that had been getting the endless orders had gone cross-eyed and fallen down at that point. "Hey, look," Holly says as she points out one of the herd animals suddenly struggling. "Is that a tundra worm attack?" "Looks like it," Bjorn notes, looking over the distance. After a few moments of struggling, the worm bursts from the ground and the creature screams, but manages to bound away, trailing blood as the fangs of the worm had scraped along its hide. Neat. So its whole ambushing strategy means it has to let go for a moment to get a proper bite. That's good to know. "You think it'll be okay?" Holly asks, watching the uncomfortably carib-like animal race away. "If it can avoid infection or other predators while wounded, then it should make it. Tundra worms are the baddest beasts on this world, so if it can not only get away from that but learn from it, then it might live a very long life," Bjorn remarks as he considers. "I wonder how they taste, though. They might make some good hunting." He receives a swat in the shoulder. "No, not while I'm here. Not when the poor beastie just barely escaped a horrible death." Fine. Shall we continue?" he asks, and she nods. The walk is well-paced and comfortable, fairly uneventful too, although they do get to see many more arcologies in the distance with every new side the walk along. "Are you not cold anymore?" Holly asks after a little while as Bjorn scans the area and considers how long it would take to run from one arcology to another. It wouldn't take too long, but it wouldn't be quick. "The walking has warmed me up, not to mention this isn't too much colder than my homelands. With so little snow, there are only the chill and the wind to bring me cold. But my jacket blocks the wind and I am plenty warm from the walk in my shirt," Bjorn remarks. Still, it's interesting to see the most common types of arcologies, the big bricks over there, the pyramids like Vrenraku here, and the domed arcologies are the most common. "Is that really what's on your mind?" Holly asks, and he shrugs. "I think about a lot of things, but out of controlled areas I have to keep my focus on the tactical and strategic perspective of things," Bjorn replies. "Really? So there's no room for anything else?" Holly asks, crossing her arms and pressing up her breasts. "Not outside a controlled area," Bjorn returns. "You're a hurt civilian, one that I'm not sure if you're older or younger than me. That brings up how appropriate this is. We have a business relationship where we have different sorts of mutual power and authority over each other. So there's all sorts of questions to how appropriate it would be to be in a relationship. And if I decide that I want to pursue one, are you going to stop me, to shut me down or avoid me? Because I'm fairly sure I have a captive audience." Holly teases him and he sighs. "Oh, no answer? How interesting." 4 minutes in an all-out sprint, Bjorn says. "What?" Holly asks. "How long it would take for me to reach the nearest arcology. Of course my hands would be shaking near the end of it." Bjorn says, yanking the conversion to another topic entirely. "Really? It would take me about 10 seconds, Holly remarks, and he turns to give her a look that clearly has doubt written up and down it. She then smiles at him and nods toward Vrenraku nearby, and he scoffs. 4 minutes to reach that? Quite slow. "Oh, yay? How about, no, I'm on duty, no messing around." Bjorn cuts himself off and Holly sighs. "Please?" she begs, and he shakes his head. She then clasps her hands together, pushes up her breasts, and flutters her eyes. "Please? No, I'm on the job." Bjorn grunts out, but she can spot his eyes flickering. He's attracted. He's very much attracted. "And when do you come off the job, big man?" she asks, and he sighs. "When we're someplace safe. So you want to go home?" "That is not what I said." "But it's what you meant," Holly concludes. "Come on, race you back." With that, she rushes hard alongside the arcology, and Bjorn gives chase, staying only a few steps behind her in a full-out sprint to keep pace with the immensely fast Holly. Thankfully, she actually runs out of endurance halfway through and clomps to a stop while huffing out great clouds of steam. "You all right?" Bjorn asks, skidding to a stop as he's panting far less and quickly getting control of himself. Yes. You humans are put together so weird. How are you turned on?" "What?" Holly demands, and Bjorn checks and confirms that he is in fact not popping a tent. "I'm not turned on. What are you talking about?" Bjorn asks, and she huffs in a deep breath through her nose and looking at Bjorn oddly. "But your smell." "Sweat. It's called sweat," Bjorn says. "Remember? I'm always in season and the sweat makes it really stand out. But you wear deodorant to ward it off. Unless I get too warm and start producing more sweat to cool off. But it's cold. How could you be... right? Right. Sorry, No, I'm not sorry. You humans are too sexy for your own damn good, you know that?" Holly demands the now very amused Bjorn. "You've got some good speed. Really good. A sprinting queen, but you can't keep it going. You heat up too fast." Bjorn remarks and she scoffs. "Oh, shut up. We can't all be bald monkeys, you know. I thought I was too sexy for my own good." "You're that too." Holly huffs as she sucks in more cold air to regulate her burning body heat. She then flinches a bit as Bjorn reaches for her, then nods to allow him to feel her forehead through her fur. He lets out a low whistle in surprise. "You're burning. If anything, this world is too warm for you. How did you even get by on Centris?" Bjorn asks in surprise as he pulls away. He'd have to run a high fever to get anywhere near as close to that. "On Centris, the axiom flowed naturally to protect me from the heat. Here, I'm not used to this temperature. It's close, but not close enough to a really comfortable temperature. When we're inside, it'll be so hot, I won't even have to think about to keep properly cool, but here, close enough that my instincts aren't built up yet." "Well then, let's get you to where it's warmer so you can properly cool off, as freaking weird as that is. Wait, is that why sweating is so unknown in the galaxy at large? Axiom self-cooling?" "Yes, it's common to the point of being almost universal. Some plants even have a version of them to extract water or keep warm," Holly explains as she completely gets her breath back and gestures towards a small copse of trees. "I see. Still, let's get you inside to where things are healthier for you," Bjorn says kindly. "We're not far off anyways, just a slight walk." "Oh, but I'm burning. Burning, I say. Need a pair of strong arms to carry me," Holly dramatically declares, and Bjorn rolls his eyes at first before grinning. He then picks her up in a bridal carry and Holly is completely taken aback. "Wait, what? What are you doing?" "Calling your bluff," he says. "Bluff? Bluff nothing. I wanted to be carried on your back so I could whisper things in your ear and press into you." "I'm on duty, Holly." "Yay, for now. Then we get home and you're suddenly off duty." "Oh, good Lord. You're going to be saying more than that soon enough. Is there an off switch?" "No, but there is an on switch. Everything I say is going to be taken like an innuendo, isn't it? Maybe I would like you in my end, though. At least try to have some originality with the bad flirting." Bjorn groans in frustration and Holly dissolves into giggles. "Don't make me drop you." "But you're supposed to protect me," she teases, and he sighs.